Hi, I'm Joe Ferguson, President of the Civic Federation. The Civic Federation is a nonprofit, privately funded agency supported significantly by the business community in various ways, major foundations, philanthropy, and individuals who all share that hope and objective of having better government for all. The Civic Federation was formed in 1894 by Lyman Gage, one of the founders of the First National Bank of Chicago, now J.P. Morgan, Bertha Palmer, who with her husband were the leading philanthropists of their time, and Jane Addams, Nobel Prize winning social activist from Illinois, who believed that government actually was an important driver of supporting immigrant communities and immigrants are who made this country what it is. And so they founded that organization, and their spirit and their vision and the diversity of perspectives and viewpoints around shared objectives is what drives the organization today. So the Civic Federation's mission to provide nonpartisan, objective, research-based advocacy for the improvement of government services for the entire population in the region. And the question is, how is it that we get government to actually deliver services effectively and to do it equitably, which government hasn't always done? Sustainable tax and therefore revenue policy and the right governance structure is really necessary in order to make good decisions. That's what we focus on, is tax and fiscal policy and governance structure in order to drive the highest and best decision-making outcomes for the people generally. One of the core characteristics of the work that we do is to critique government. And that means a lot of talking and a lot of insistence that government itself not just talk, but walk the walk. We don't have the standing that we need to do that unless we ourselves are walking the walk. We need to actually conduct ourselves by the same principles poured into policy and program day to day in a way that actually manifests exactly what we're calling upon government to do. At a moment in time when people are feeling put upon and pressured by all sorts of economic and political forces, the objective is to be the North Star, the steady voice from an objective, neutral place for everything that people need to navigate us through it. We want people to understand that it's possible to actually call upon their government and hold their government accountable and actually have their government make the right decisions for them with consideration of them that actually gets us through these static-filled times.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nice. So everything I had to say was in the video, so I'm sure you all heard it, right? I am Joe Ferguson, President of the Civic Federation, and good afternoon to everyone. Good to see so many familiar faces, and gratified to welcome those of you who are joining us for the first time. Today's event will honor two exemplars of our community who embody civic devotion to this glorious, messy region we call home. I know that you all carry a similar devotion, and in that sense, we are celebrating all of you as well. Celebrate yourselves. A round of applause. So first, a few acknowledgments. I want to acknowledge and thank the Radisson Blu and its staff for this fantastic venue and service. I also want to thank and put in a plug for our event support, Hoopla Communications, an outstanding women-owned and operated enterprise that I highly commend to you all. And I also want to recognize my incredible colleagues at the Civic Federation, whose work and Sisyphean determination, that's a Joe Ferguson word, Sisyphean determination to push the existential boulders up the hill each and every day is why we are all here. And for those who closely track and use their work, and to everyone here, a reminder that we do what we do with a team of 11 people. That was a proverbial little engine that consistently punches above our weight class. So I asked the Civic Federation staff, some of them may not be in the room, but if you're in the room, please stand so that we can recognize you, your dedication, your commitment, and your work. So next, a special thank you to our event co-chairs, Tim Knight, Donovan Pepper, and Jill Wolowitz. Today's event would not be possible without your partnership and commitment to the Civic Federation's work and mission. And another thanks to one of our 2037 Society members. And for those of you that know us, you know what the reference to 2037 is. To those that are still new, let me just say 2037 and the 2037 Society are our leading supporters. 2037 is the bicentennial of the city of Chicago, and it is the Civic Federation's mission at this point, or pour ourselves into, through our mission, the work of building the city that we need to be in 2037 today with the leaders of tomorrow. Thank you to Bob Casey, who has generously matched up to $75,000 of sponsorships for this event for that greater purpose. And finally, I'd like to take a moment to recognize past honorees of today's awards who have joined us today. Bill Brodsky, AT&T, BMO, Clayco, Illinois Toolworks, Motorola Solutions, PNC, Wintrust Financial Corporation, and United Airlines. And not honorees directly, but people and entities that we would not exist without their support. Our leading sponsors in the room today are the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and the Robert R. McCormick Foundation. We are grateful to them and to all of you to be joined in such an outstanding group of civic leaders. So before we dive fully into the program, briefly I want to sit with the video that few of you heard, but we all just kind of vaguely watched. The Civic Federation's work is critically necessary to advancing the collective good. Our work is not flashy. It doesn't play to the heart. And in fact, sometimes people, maybe even some people in this room right now perhaps, may chafe at some of what we bring forward from time to time. But quite simply, the work we do is vital to our city, our region, our state, and our democracy. Founding Father James Madison said, and I quote, "A popular government without popular information or the means of acquiring it is but a prologue to a farce or a tragedy, or perhaps both." We are living through an interesting time in which, unfortunately, we see daily manifestations of the both. But the challenges of this time are why the very existence of organizations like the Civic Federation, supported by all of you, is essential to ensuring that people on all sides across the intractably polarized ideological spectrum have the ability to equip themselves with accessible, digestible, usable, nonpartisan, and objective facts, as well as unbiased information and analysis, so that they are empowered to most effectively advocate for themselves and their communities. Madison also said in a letter to Thomas Jefferson that, and again I quote, "Knowledge will forever govern ignorance." If organizations like the Civic Federation disappeared, it would happen quietly at first, but the loss over time would be felt loudly in the erosion of public understanding and civic trust, as well, in Madison's words, in the increase of ignorance. In a time where funding is being pulled from public services, the media, and nonprofits across the country, it is all the more vital that we support, with our dollars, our voices, and our own power, individually and collectively, the information that is the bedrock of our community and of our democracy. If you believe in the importance of this work, there are many ways to support it. Truth and its pursuit are expensive. But here's the thing. The investment at the front end means truth ultimately costs far less than the cost that we all bear for the fictions that too often guide us in our civic sphere and our political sphere. Invest in the truth at the front end, and we are all better off and better poised for the future. You can make a contribution today by scanning the QR code on the back of your program or visiting civicfed.org. You can also join as a member, participate in our events, engage with our research, and help connect others to our work. And if today's program inspires you, I hope you'll share it. Post a photo, a reflection, or a takeaway from today's events, and tag the Civic Federation, EY, Sean Garrett, and United Way of Metro Chicago. Strong civic institutions depend on people like you who are willing to champion them. And every new connection helps broaden the conversation about the future of our region. One of the things we have been reminded of again and again this year is that none of our government's challenges or solutions exist and are implemented in isolation. We all know that the decisions of government and actions of government affect schools, transit, housing, public health, public safety, and the very fabric of the well-being of neighborhoods and communities and families. What we tend to pay less attention to is the impact of any one government's decisions on other units of government. This is especially the case with the decisions that are made at the state level, which ripple down to the cities and counties, notwithstanding the fact that we're talking about the same constituents. This is also the case, to a lesser degree, with local decisions that shape regional outcomes. It runs both ways. The work that each of you do is connected to the work and the mission and the fortunes of everyone else in this room and beyond. Everything is connected. We're all connected. And in the static-filled, controversy and trauma-suffused and schedule-driven lives we have, we need to elevate consciousness of that connectivity and use it to drive us to more and better. The Civic Federation believes our region succeeds only when we recognize our interconnectedness and take a shared responsibility for it. Politics and governance work best when they are additive. And so these times call for a channeling of our natural competitive impulses into a competition of ideas rather than a competition for resources. Alone, we can go fast, but together, we can go far. And it is only together we will develop vibrant, equitable opportunities and build strong communities needed for a vibrant future. Those values, shared responsibility, collaboration, and a commitment to strengthening the institutions that connect us are exactly why we are gathered here today, to celebrate a person and a corporation that bring life to the values the Civic Federation holds dear. Sean Garrett and EY exemplify what becomes possible when leaders commit themselves not just to talking about communities, but to understanding how systems needed to support those communities actually function, and then putting in the hard, sometimes faceless work of bringing people together to make those systems work better for the people they serve. Both of today's honorees understand something essential. Durable progress only happens when the public, private, nonprofit, and community sectors stop operating in silos and begin acting with a shared sense of responsibility for the region's greater future. Over the next hour, you'll hear much more about Sean's leadership, EY's commitment to this region, and the many ways both have helped strengthen the civic fabric of Chicago and beyond. But in the theme of today's celebration, everything is connected. Today's honorees are notable for standing in the places that government cannot fully stand and the needs in any moment government cannot fully address or meet. And so both are critical connectors of the government, nonprofit, and corporate realms that give me hope, and I hope give you hope, for a better future for this city, region, and state. We are honored to celebrate their contributions today. Thank you again for being here, for supporting this work, and for believing that strong civic institutions matter. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Chair of the Civic Federation, Jill Wolowitz.
And it's no surprise that I'm adjusting the mic. So I'll do that. Joseph told me it. Thank you. My name is Jill Wolowitz. I'm chair of the Civic Federation. I'm also Healthcare Service Corporation's Executive Vice President. And I'm proud to serve as the event co-chair of this year's Annual Civic Awards. Thank you to my fellow event co-chairs, Tim Knight of McCormick Foundation, and Donovan Pepper of Cozen O'Connor, and longtime member of the Civic Fed. I would also like to recognize the generous support of our leading sponsors of today's event, our trailblazers. And let me announce those. Representatives from major foundations and civic organizations here today include Christy George, Better Government Association, the Chicago Community Trust, the Civic Committee of the Commercial Club of Chicago, Crown Family Philanthropies, McCormick Foundation, the Metropolitan Planning Council, Motorola Solutions Foundation, Polk Brothers Foundation, and the Pritzker-Trauber Foundation. I'm going to keep going with my list. We also have a number of public officials that we would like to recognize in the room with us today. From the state of Illinois, we have Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza, from Cook County, we have President of the Cook County Board of Commissioners, Tony Preckwinkle. I'll go through Cook County Assessor Fritz Kagi, Chair of the Cook County Board of Review, George Cardenas. From the City of Chicago and sister agencies, we have City Budget Director Annette Guzman. Executive Director of the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, Aaron Ailman. Interim President of the CTA, Nora Learson. City Director of Economic Development, Tom Anderson. From Chicago City Council, we have Alderpersons Anthony Beal of the 9th Ward. Chicago Board of Education's Sean Hardin. Therese Boyle, Carlos Rivas Jr., and Jessica Biggs. And we are not sure we captured everyone in the room today. If I omitted your name, my apologies, and please give us a wave so we can recognize you. Thank you. To build on Joe's remarks, let's reflect on what the Civic Federation has accomplished this year. Joe made the point that democracy requires information, and increasingly, what the Civic Federation provides is not just information, but clarity. At a time when government feels more complicated, more polarized than ever, and harder to navigate than ever, Joe and his team have continued to show up as a trusted, independent source of analysis and public understanding. Whether explaining the realities of Chicago's and Illinois' structural fiscal challenges, helping residents understand the transition to a newly elected school board, analyzing the launch of Illinois' Department of Early Childhood, or breaking down issues like pensions, transit funding, and property taxes, the Federation consistently works to connect technical policy conversations to real public understanding. Over the past year, our work has increasingly reached beyond traditional policy audiences. The Federation has expanded not only the depth of our research, but the ways in which we reach people. This year, we launched new public-facing programming, new accessible materials like explainers and infographics. Our media engagement has expanded, and we've conducted more briefings with policymakers and stakeholders than ever before in our history. This organization helps make complicated issues accessible to broader audiences in ways that genuinely matter. And as Joe said, that kind of work matters, especially right now. And of course, none of this happens without support. The work is made possible by our very, very engaged board of directors, whose leadership and stewardship continue to guide us through growth and change while remaining true to our mission and our values as an organization. If you are a member of the board of directors, please stand so we can recognize you. I also want to recognize the broader community membership, community partners and support and allies, many of you who are in the room with us today. Your engagement, your expertise and input strengthen our work. And if you are a Civic Federation member, please give us a wave. Thank you. We're also deeply appreciative for those who are joining us today for the first time. We are very, very glad you're here, and you hope you'll continue to engage with us. With that said, before we break for lunch, I would like to extend our sincere thank you to Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. While they could not be here with us today, they have recorded brief greetings that we will be playing during lunch. And so now I invite you all to enjoy your lunch, and we will reconvene in about 20 minutes. Thank you.
I'm honored to recognize extraordinary leaders whose contributions have profoundly shaped our state and communities, Sean Garrett and the Chicago team at EY. By reimagining fundraising through a local lens, Sean has had a lasting impact on neighborhoods throughout the city of Chicago and demonstrated an unwavering commitment to Illinois communities. Under his leadership, United Way has expanded vital programs and initiatives that support residents across Chicago. These support systems connect families to community, to opportunity, and to economic mobility. Sean's civic service and passion for strengthening neighborhoods continue to inspire others and leave a lasting positive imprint on communities throughout the Chicagoland area. EY has been an important partner in championing collaboration across government and business and supporting targeted community investments. The team at EY has strengthened how Chicago grows and thrives. Through impactful local initiatives, from pro bono support for the Austin African American Business Networking Association to mentoring entrepreneurs and teaching financial literacy, they have planted seeds of opportunity all across our city. The work that Sean and EY's Chicago team have accomplished will leave a mark on the fabric of Chicagoland's economic and social infrastructure for decades to come. On behalf of the state of Illinois, thank you for your outstanding contributions to our great city. Your work inspires us all to strive for excellence and to serve others with integrity and purpose.
Hello, everyone. On behalf of the City of Chicago, I want to acknowledge and congratulate this year's Annual Civic Award recipients. Congratulations to Sean Garrett, President and CEO of United Way of Metro Chicago. And thank you for setting a bold vision that uplifts the people of Chicago through collaboration, investment, and advocacy. Congratulations to the EY team on this recognition of your work to prepare Chicago's workforce for the future. And thank you for helping to ensure that Chicago remains an innovative, dynamic, and forward-thinking city. The Civic Federation Awards reminds us of the layers of partnership and leadership that go into making our city and region stronger. The city, county, state, and local governments are all connected and strengthened by our civic partners who help bring our visions to life. I want to thank the Civic Federation for their commitment to engagement and good governance. And thank you for this opportunity to celebrate some of our city and region's brightest leaders and organizations. I hope everyone enjoys an inspiring annual Civic Award celebration. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It is time to start with the awards. I hope everyone is enjoying a delicious lunch. Let's take a moment to thank the Radisson Blu team and their catering staff for their service this afternoon. My name is Rebecca Scheinfeld. I am a member of the Civic Federation Board of Directors, and I'm also the President and CEO of the Civic Consulting Alliance. Thank you again all for being here today. It's a wonderful turnout. Now, before I present the awards to this year's honorees, I have the pleasure of giving a special announcement of the winner of our raffle. Oh, it's okay. Well, we will keep you in suspense. Do you want to do it at the end? Okay. So let's proceed then with our guests of honor today. And the highlight of our afternoon, we'll do the award from the raffle at the end of the awards. So first, the Gage-Msall Award recognizes individuals whose leadership and service have made a lasting civic impact on the Chicago region. Sean Garrett embodies that mission fully. Through bold leadership, transformational partnerships, and an unwavering commitment to community, Sean has helped shape a stronger, more connected, and resilient Chicago. Sean's career with United Way spans decades and communities across the country. He began in Wisconsin as a community fellow with United Way of Dane County, and later held several positions with United Way Worldwide, including also as the executive director of United Way of Central Carolinas. And then he returned home to Chicago, where he proudly calls home with his family today, many of whom are with him today, his wife Emily and one of his children today. Let's give them a round of applause. With John. In each of these roles, Sean has remained deeply committed to building systems that connect people to opportunity and strengthen communities from within. But what makes Sean's leadership so extraordinary is not simply the scale of these investments. It is the purpose behind them. Sean understands that meaningful civic leadership requires collaboration. Through partnerships with leaders from across the civic, business, philanthropic, and community sectors, including residents themselves, Sean has helped expand place-based initiatives that are creating measurable impact across Chicago. Under his leadership, United Way of Metro Chicago expanded its place-based neighborhood network initiative and built executively led the Chicago Bridge Builders Fund. And on a personal note, Sean has been a trusted peer in the civic ecosystem to me. He has been a client, a partner, and funder to my team at Civic Consulting Alliance, where he was a client leading the way to establishing 211 Metro Chicago in partnership with the City of Chicago and Cook County. Sean's leadership is both strategic and impactful. He recognizes that data, partnerships, and investments matter, and ultimately, that civic progress is about people. It is about ensuring that every Chicagoan, regardless of neighborhood or circumstance, has the opportunity not just to get by, but to succeed. And at a time when cities across the country are grappling with deep economic and social challenges, Sean Garrett represents the kind of civic leadership that Chicago needs: thoughtful, collaborative, forward-looking, and relentlessly committed to the well-being of others. Now, to better understand the impact of Sean's work and leadership, we'll hear directly from those whose lives and communities have been shaped by his contributions.
Sean is the ultimate connector. One of the brilliant things that Sean's able to do is he'll lean back and think about the broader picture, and then he kind of leans in and finds the right person to connect to make sure that whatever initiative he wants to do can be successful.
Sean is one of the most thoughtful and humble person. He's never looking to center himself. It's always about others and the people.
He's a person of really good humor, you know, and I think that helps in his job. You have to be optimistic and have a positive view toward the world. But he's always smiling and always looking for ways to get around obstacles.
Sean inspires others by walking the talk. He brings us together. He helps us all have impact in ways that are so much more meaningful than we might be able to accomplish on our own.
I know Sean through our collective work. We've worked with United Way as a main lead organization of the Neighborhood Network initiative to focus our communities on trust and relationship building that really strengthens the safety net and social infrastructure within our community for change. The thing that I always remember about Sean is when we first met. He had just become CEO of United Way, and he wanted to meet with me. I actually thought he was trying to meet with me because he wanted to break the bad news to me and let me down easy. But I was really pleasantly surprised to learn that he actually wanted to meet with me to get to know me and to see how he hoped that I could help him deepen the impact of United Way under his leadership. And I said, man, he's a different type of leader.
I've been in this job for almost 16 years, and the only leader of United Way that I know really well is Sean. He made it a point to engage people in government as well as in the business community when he came on board, and I'm really grateful for that. And he saw a need in our region. We didn't have a 211 system, which exists pretty much everywhere else in the country. A helpline that enables people to get information about resources for housing and shelter, for food, for employment. The City of Chicago and the County of Cook have been supportive of that effort, but it's really been led by Sean Garrett.
I would describe Sean as a community-minded collaborator that loves to bring people together. Over the last 15 plus years, BMO has been the biggest corporate partner with the United Way of Metro Chicago, and Sean's been the leader for much of that time. Every year, we launch the BMO Employee Giving Campaign, and it's one of the best things we do. It makes us so proud. The United Way is our biggest partner in that. So right here specifically in Chicago, we've been the #1 giver, corporate giver to the United Way Metro Chicago for probably the last 15 plus years. So Sean's played a really big role in that. Without the work that Sean and his team do in the United Way, I think it would be hard for us to have the level of impact in the city that we actually have.
Sean has been with United Way his entire career, and I'm not surprised that Sean has stuck with United Way. I think Sean cares deeply about communities and he cares about people, and he wants to find a way to make things better for everyone. He's thinking about the vision of where he thinks Chicago could go and what is possible, and he is in it to win it. I am in awe of how he thinks about all the work that he does and how intentional he is in making action come from thoughts.
I heard when Sean was asked if he was a Cubs or Sox fans, he actually said Mets, Patriots. I'm like, dude, you East Coast, man, what's going on? Sean, congratulations on receiving such a prestigious award. This couldn't go to a greater guy.
Congratulations, Sean. I'm a White Sox fan.
Sean, congratulations on being awarded with the Gage-Msall Award from the Civic Federation.
I would encourage Sean to stick with very hyper-local affiliations for who is his favorite team. And I think the White Sox of Hamlin Park, where his son is playing, he should stick with that. Congratulations, Sean. I'm so lucky to be his friend.
please join me in welcoming Sean to the stage? Okay, the raffle. We have not forgotten about the raffle. And the winner of the 2-night stay at the Radisson Blu is, oh, I think I have to. Oh, yeah. Sorry, an elected official. I can't do it. Hugh Bartling, table 39. Is Hugh here? Can you stand up? And please proceed to the table to my right to collect your voucher. Congratulations. Okay, wonderful. And a big congratulations again to Sean and his family. Okay, everybody ready? Let's do this. We have a really exciting second award to present today. The Addams-Palmer Award honors institutions that demonstrate extraordinary commitment to civic participation and public impact. It recognizes organizations that understand that thriving cities require not only strong governments, but active partnership across the business, nonprofit, and civic sectors. And EY embodies that spirit. At its core, EY is guided by a mission to build a better working world. And through its work across assurance, consulting, tax, and strategy, EY helps organizations navigate complexity, embrace innovation, and prepare for the future with confidence. What makes EY especially deserving of this recognition is the way that it has brought that same sense of responsibility to the civic life of Chicago and Illinois. And at a time when many institutions are pulling back from difficult public challenges, EY is leaning in. The firm has worked collaboratively across sectors to advance long-term solutions rooted in data, partnership, and shared purpose. Most importantly, EY approaches this work with a recognition that Chicago's future cannot be addressed in silos. The challenges facing our city and region are deeply interconnected. So progress requires bringing sectors together around a common North Star, and EY has played an outsized role in helping make that possible. One of the clearest examples of this commitment has been EY's partnership with the city and state on major strategic and fiscal initiatives. For example, last year, the City of Chicago commissioned EY to analyze Chicago's budget deficit and offer innovative balancing solutions. This work is about helping position the city for stronger service delivery, greater operational efficiency, and long-term fiscal sustainability. And that commitment extends far beyond formal government engagements. EY has invested in initiatives that strengthen neighborhoods, expand economic opportunity, and support entrepreneurs across Chicago. Through pro bono strategy consulting with the Austin African American Business Networking Association, EY has helped support local business growth and neighborhood economic development. Through the Entrepreneurs Access Network, EY professionals mentor entrepreneurs early in their career to prepare them for future success. And EY has remained deeply engaged in the broader civic ecosystem of Chicago. I'm personally very pleased that EY is receiving this award. The firm is a longtime pro bono partner of my organization, Civic Consulting Alliance, and has a deep history of civic engagement supporting our government and civic leader clients. The firm also actively supports many other organizations, such as P33, the Illinois Economic Development Corporation, and other key organizations working to strengthen the region's economic future. One particularly compelling example of EY's leadership is its work elevating place-based investments across Chicago neighborhoods. Through coordinated storytelling, research, strategic engagement, EY has helped demonstrate that investing in communities is not simply good civic practice, it is sound economic strategy. And as Chicago positions itself for the future, From emerging technologies like quantum computing to mega project developments, EY has continued to help ensure that growth strategies remain grounded in data, collaboration, and long-term thinking. So to better understand the impact of EY's work and partnerships across our region, we'll now hear from those who have experienced it firsthand. Please join me in watching our next video.
We see the civic space as the markets that we and our clients serve. So when we find opportunities to play a role in advancing both the growth of our local markets, the governance of our civic institutions, we always jump at that.
EY is a very innovative company. They have partnered with leaders to ensure that that innovation happens. It's like they are an enabler of the innovation.
EY to me means purpose in action. It's really important that we make data-driven decisions. We'll ultimately bring about public-private partnerships and outcomes that are really necessary to having Chicago thrive in the future.
If I had to pick a word or phrase to describe EY, it would be catalyst. EY is willing to stand up and lean in, and they lead by example.
Illinois EDC is the state's business attraction arm. We work very closely with public and private partners all across the state to recruit new businesses to come in and invest and create new jobs, as well as encourage existing businesses that are here to continue their investment and to grow and scale in the state. EY in particular provides incredible, kind of very detailed tax analysis and consulting services. They are a pillar as part of the civic community, and they advise us on best practices and where we have a true right to win.
We see civic leadership as a must. Chicago has a unique ecosystem and a unique expectation of the business community to play that civic role. EY takes that very seriously. Everything is connected, everyone is connected, and so when we're working with leaders on our corporate clients, they are obviously have a very vested interest in how things are running within the government. And so if we can cross-sector and cross those government lines and do so in a way that brings people together, centralizes and coordinates those efforts in a space where kind of all ships rise.
Civic Consulting Alliance has a broad network of partners to provide services to our clients, all on a pro bono basis. And EY has been a stalwart partner for us. Most recently, EY worked in partnership with Civic Consulting Alliance to support Illinois Economic Development Corporation as they strategized around how to maintain and grow Illinois' competitive advantage in the quantum computing space. So EY brought their expertise to help conduct a study to look at the supply chain for quantum computing businesses in the state. Under Kevin's leadership, he really leads by example and sets an expectation that all of his leaders will engage civically. Kevin leads with his heart. Only together are we going to be able to navigate so many increasing challenges for our region and come out ahead and continue to ensure that the Chicago region remains prosperous and vibrant for all.
At its core, EY works with businesses and government entities to ultimately build a better working world. We are a catalyst for change, and we're a catalyst for growth. I'm incredibly proud of Kevin's consistent participation in local civic organizations. I'm very excited to see him continue that on and look forward to the future in his role serving our broader civic community here in Chicago.
Civic Federation is an absolute institution here in Chicago, and first I also have to say Addams-Palmer, with those two names of just trailblazers and community leaders, to be in association with that is just a true honor. But I think that is central to what Civic Federation does. They care about good governance, they care about their communities, but they're not going to accept the easy answer. They never do. They push, and they push us to be a better version of ourselves and of the city. So first, big congratulations, Kevin. I also want to give a big thanks to our government and public sector team, who they do this work tirelessly.
Congratulations, Kevin and EY and the entire team. We are so proud of you.
Congratulations, EY.
Congratulations to Kevin and the entire EY team. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your leadership.
Please join me in welcoming Kevin Cole, who will accept the award for the EY team.
Jill just authorized me to mix it up a little bit here.
I
so.
figured I figured that whatever
we're
I
about to have
saw
some
in the
fun.
prep is not coming, so I'm good. I'm good.
So
I trust in you, Dory.
I got this. So good afternoon, everyone. For those of you that I haven't had the honor of meeting, I'm Dory McWhorter, the President and CEO of the Executives Club of Chicago, as well as a board member of the Civic Federation. And I have to say, it is such an honor to be here with you two gentlemen this afternoon. So, on behalf of the board, I want to thank all of you for joining us at the Civic Federation's 2026 Annual Civic Award. And I do want to thank Joe and his incredible team for just absolutely an outstanding event as I look around this room. So I've really been looking forward to this event and this conversation. You know, as we saw in the videos, you are both exemplary humans leading organizations that absolutely do exemplary work for the betterment of humanity. You know, you both embody the contributions of the namesakes of your respective awards. So the Gage-Msall Award to you, Sean, and of course, the Addams-Palmer Award to you, Kevin. So I had to really do a little research because I really love the name of the theme of this particular awards luncheon. So the theme of everything is connected. And, you know, really thinking about that theme, you know, with the upcoming opening of the Obama Presidential Center in Jackson Park, I'm reminded of the 1893 World's Fair, another historic Jackson Park moment. And the first thought was Lyman Gage. So before he was the first president of the Civic Federation, he was instrumental in securing Chicago as the location of the 1893 World's Fair and ensuring its financial success. And then, of course, anyone that knew Laurence knew that he cared so much about this city and would often talk and speak about the anecdotes of the World's Fair as some of the accomplishments that were happening right here in Chicago. I'll have to say, though, Jane Addams had a little bit of a complicated relationship with the fair. She used it as a site for both celebration and some pretty fierce social protest. And really, it was her visibility there that helped cement her status as a leader in the settlement movement. So I then have to get to my favorite, Bertha Palmer, because she was the president of the Board of Lady Managers for the fair, and my absolute personal favorite, she invented the brownie. So that attendees were able to enjoy an elegant but portable sweet treat. So you can see that you all
That was a tidbit I did not know.
Yes.
We're taking that back to the office.
I've known
That's
that
awesome.
for decades,
Brownies
by
for
the way.
everyone.
Yeah.
And the Palmer House still has the best brownies in the world to me. But what you could see, though, is that Chicago has absolutely been home to historic moments and visionary leaders for quite some time, and those leaders that are highly connected, which leads me to the conversation that I want us to have today. So, having said all that, we heard in the video just the great accomplishments that both of you have had with your respective organizations. But I always like to understand sort of who are the people behind that. So I want to get a little deeper with you both. So the question I have is, who are you? I want us to know about your background and what really brought you to this moment in Chicago. So Sean, I'll start with you.
Great.
Well, first of all, thank you to Joe and the Civic Federation team and the board. Thank you for the opportunity. We're very grateful to have our shared work be lifted up in this way, and so thank you. And to President Preckwinkle and Darnell, I see him over there, and Daryl and my friend Megan, thank you for the kind words. Darnell, I know they scripted you, so I appreciate that you read them very well, so well done. And that was hard to do, but I appreciate it anyway. And Kevin, congratulations to you and UI. It's cool to get to do this with you. So I was thinking about like who I am and where this come from, and I'm very lucky. My mom's here actually today. So
good job, Mom.
She's my dad is too busy playing golf, but my mom decided that she would fly up to come visit. Which always bet on your moms, because your dad. Lesson to you, John. Bet on the moms, not the dads here. But I think about growing up in a family that was involved in this kind of work. My mom was a speech and language pathologist. My dad worked at various nonprofits and did different type of work. And I remember being a young person, and frankly, probably around the age of John, who's 11 right now, and seeing my mom go to work every day. And she worked with, she's a speech and language pathologist who worked with primarily autistic like preschoolers, like really young kids. And every once in a while you'd have a day where you didn't go to school, but she still went to school. So I would go in, and I remember like watching her work and being like, this makes no sense. You were having to work really hard. These kids can't communicate because most were nonverbal. They're having these real struggles. They want to communicate, but they can't. And so there's, like the physical nature of that was really hard to see. And, as a 11-year-old, 12-year-old are probably not the most worldly and understanding, and you're just like, this doesn't make sense. Why are you doing this? But she did it every single day for 40 years. And what I learned over time was to see that probably no day felt like a huge win, but every day she moved the ball forward, and every day she made a little bit of a difference in that child's life. And over the course of a month to a year to 5 years and more, kids could go from being nonverbal to, she would have these like little boards that I remember, and like kids could like press on these boards and they could make a sound. And for the first time in their lives, these young people could communicate with their parents, and just how profound that was for the kids, but also for their families. And it it's always stuck with me. And it's something that I think a lot about with our work, which is, you can't win in this work every day. A lot of this work is taking a step forward and 2 steps back. And some days you go 3 steps forward and a step back, but you have to show up consistently. You have to constantly want to be a part of it and try everything you can to move forward. And when you look back after doing that for days, months, weeks, and years, you can make progress. And we see that work in Austin. We see that. I see Carlos in Auburn Gresham. I see Angela in South Chicago. Like, we see that. But it's that consistency that it takes. And so for me, it's always been about like anchoring in, showing up consistently, being a partner that can move the work forward in small and incremental ways, but doing that every single day so that when you do it consistently, you actually have a huge win over time.
Wonderful, thank you. And Kevin, how about you? Who are you?
Uh-oh. I have people that can answer. The truth tellers are out here, right? It'd start for me at home. Dory, I'd be remiss not to say that I'm a proud dad of 3 amazing kids. I've been married for 31 years to my lovely wife, Eliza, and those who know her, there's people in this room, they're going, yeah, I still don't know how. But that is true, and that kind of shapes a little bit who I am. But 26 years with Ernst & Young. 23 of those years, you can probably tell when I open my mouth that, hey, you're not originally from here. But 23 of those years have been working out of our Chicago office. And when I moved here in 2003, I had a big Atlanta bias. I did. I thought how that civic community functioned and the way that these things worked. I remember I probably sat in meetings as a young person, like, let me tell you how this works. But what I was able to witness in Chicago was something that was extremely powerful. And so a couple of years ago, when the opportunity came up to lead our team here, it was the place in our firm that I felt like we talk a lot about people, clients, and community. And we talk about it all the time. And Joe did a great job talking about it. These things are not silos. They are totally interconnected. On a day like today, they're even more interconnected. I'm laughing. I got an unbelievable team here that is really the backbone behind why we're being recognized. that serves our state and local government clients. But I'm looking out. I've got people at the McCormick Foundation table that support that group. I've got people at client tables. Like, this room's a picture of why I'm passionate about what we do in Chicago. And so for me, it's about being certain that we may remain true to that all the time. And I'm a big, what I really am passionate about, I work for some great mentors. One of them told me early, there are only two types of people. There's energy givers and energy takers. And you get to decide what you're going to be. I hope that people would say about me that I'm an energy giver. And what I really love about what we do at EY and my role is I'm all about building and being a part of high-performing teams. It's my passion. This go-it-alone thing I've never really gotten, maybe because I wasn't capable. But I have been fortunate to be a part of some amazing teams. And that's both in our walls at EY and what we do in the civic community. And there's nothing more exciting to me than being a part of that ecosystem, that group that's committed to getting the work done. And that's where I kind of find myself sitting here today, is very grateful for the opportunity to, you know, be a part of so many great teams. I also, people that know me, I'd be remiss, I do like to win. I am a good loser. I'm getting older in my life. I'm very respectful. So I can get on to the next day, and I can get to the next thing with tons of energy. But I usually end the day, if you got me, I'll say, how about best 2 out of 3? So that's a little bit about me.
Well, thank you. So I'm so grateful that you have the perspective that you do, because you are so engaged in the city. So what I ask both of you, though, I want to get, I want you to be able to brag on yourselves a little bit, though, because you all do a lot, and we saw some of that in the video. But I would say if there was sort of a sizzle reel that was about your life and your impact, what are some of the personal and professional moments with that sizzle reel include, or a memoir, whatever floats your boat? I'll start with you, Kevin. No, Kevin, I'll start with you.
Oh, man. I joked with Dory. Dory used this term sizzle reel, and I have my oldest daughter's in entertainment business. She says this term to me all the time, sizzle reel. And so I sent it to her, and I said, hey, you got any ideas? She said, well, I'm glad you're up there with Sean. There's not a whole lot of sizzle in your reel, so good luck. So, like the truth tellers, they're keeping you in line.
You humble.
Look, I think personally, Dory, I think something that would be interesting. I grew up, I was very fortunate. My parents taught me that, hard work could overcome a lot of things, no matter what it was. So you're kind of raised that way. I did have every job known to man. I started as a paper carrier in the 4th grade. It's a pretty good paper route guy, if I do say so myself. I did that till the 12th grade. But it would be cool to have a sizzle reel of all these ridiculous jobs that I did from the 4th grade on. I think my kids would enjoy that. I would enjoy that. But it was part of kind of this foundation of, what I found about competition, what I found about working with great people. And work, I've tried to express this to my kids. I do believe this is you can do some really hard things with amazing people on your team, and it's the greatest work that you will ever do. You can have your dream job, whatever that is, on the job description or whatever interview you went to, and do it maybe with not the greatest of teams or not the greatest people filling out the table. It'll be a horrible disappointment for you. And I think my personal reel would probably land somewhere there, that's the lesson in life, is that, do hard work, do it with great people, and you'll have great success. Professionally, I'm not making this up for today. It might sound like I am. Right now is the best season that I've ever had in my career, and here's the reason why. Days like today, 4,200 people back at the EY office, that's who we're recognizing today. I'm leasing this chair up here. My job as the leader is to be certain that those folks that have a passion for what we're doing reach their full potential, period. Be a catalyst, be whatever helps them achieve our full potential, and we have great success. So professionally, that is hugely important to me. It's also a great season professionally because I see, not for the first time in my career, for multiple times, this impact that we can have when we focus on our people, on our clients, and our community. I left 4,200 folks when I walked over here today, 270 interns flowing into our building over there. Tim said to me, man, is it just me or these people look younger? I was like, well, you're getting older, buddy. So that's very fruitful. We are fortunate to serve an amazing group of clients, many of which are in this audience today, and that's a huge blessing. But this community connection for us, when you think about what we've been able to do with our partners and the people that we work with, whether that's working with Sean in neighborhoods at the United Way, which is place-based investment thing, I think is outstanding. It speaks to who we are and what we want to do in the neighborhoods of Chicago. I look at our work with Exchange, and thank you to the McCormick Foundation. We wouldn't be able to do what we do with the apprentices out there if we hadn't teamed with them and invested in that way. Quantum Park, and some of the things that are happening in Chicago that we want to be good for business and good for the neighborhoods. You know, Sean and I have spent a lot of time talking about that. But I just feel like this season for us at EY, Chicago matters to us. It does, and it matters to our folks. And our ability to show up and people welcome us and get us in these circles, that would be the sizzle for me, is that we find ourselves at these tables with an opportunity to do hard work, and we're happy to do it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kevin. I could imagine, too, part of all those jobs you had are also part of the reason you're so relatable to just about everybody. So I think that really served you well. So
let's just say that laying asphalt, that's a tough gig. That's a tough gig.
I could imagine.
In the Arkansas heat, I don't recommend it.
Sean, how about you? What would your sizzle reel include?
You know, for me, I was thinking about this question. I hope it would start with like a 30 for 30, if anyone's ever seen that on ESPN, but really anchored on coaching youth sports. Because, you know, when I think about things that I've been really proud of over the last decade or so, it's that each of my guys, including John here, I got to be a part of them winning a championship, which is pretty exciting. You know, our oldest, yeah, thank you. Our oldest, we got to coach him in flag football. I never played football, unlike Kevin, who knows a little bit about football. I didn't, but you know, we got to learn and do that right after COVID together, and it was a blast. We got to coach in baseball with him and have a blast. And then John, who, and I hope everyone gets to meet here because he'll drive you nuts. There you go, John. I was asking, he wanted to do that, but he is, you know, one of the most creative and thoughtful people. But he said, hey, I want to play soccer. And we went out in the first game of the season, got beat like 8-0 because the team we played was like all travel kids. And it was, you know, John and like some of his friends just like showing up to play. And over the course of the season, they got better and better, and we ended up winning the championship. And so to have that opportunity was just, it was a great one. And so I would hope it would start there, because that's probably the one thing I can feel like, check, we did that. You know, when I think about professionally, and this room in many ways, and Kevin does such a good job of talking about it, like reflects what I would say is the biggest professional accomplishment is creating a team. And, you know, our team, we have so many of my, like the team here from United Way. We have so many of our board members. We have so many of our partners. We have so many of the donors, McCormick, others. And I think about the fact that, like, there are things that we are proud of accomplishing that's been done in Austin, that have been done in, you know, Auburn Gresham, that have been done in South Chicago, that 2-on-1 in partnership with the county. Like, these are things that we are proud of. But what I'm proudest of is the fact that, like, we have created a grouping of people that cuts across industries, cuts across sectors, who care about our city and believe that if we work together, we can get things done, and have proven it time and time again. You know, you go back to COVID, we had no idea what to do. We, in partnership with the Trust, created, you know, one of the largest COVID response funds overnight. And that was an enormous thing that, you know, other cities didn't necessarily have, because the connectivity wasn't there. And that carried through. It led to what was Chicago Connected, which was the largest digital expansion anywhere in the country, to getting more people connected to high-speed internet all across our region. I mean, those things happen ultimately because of people, and those people are the people that are in this room, the incredible team that I get to work with, the incredible board. And so I would say that would be what I'd hope on the professional one. And then very candidly, I would hope it would say, like, you better do a whole lot more, because there's a lot more expected. And I take that really seriously on our work, that we've done a lot and we're proud of where we have been as an organization. I'm so grateful, and you know, Kevin's a board member and has been such a great partner, but we got a lot of work to do. And I think that when I think about these things, it's like, You accomplish things in order to accomplish better things. And I think that's really hopefully what the Sizzle Roll is going to be about, is what comes next.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. I would love to see both of your sizzle reels produced at some point in time. So you should get your daughter to work on that, Kevin.
I think she might need some help from you, Dory, but I would like for her to do one.
Yes, that'd be amazing. So as we sit here and think about sort of where we are as a city, sort of what's your assessment of Chicago, sort of good and bad, you know, where we are as a city, a country, and even the world, and where do you see the opportunities for us? I'll start with you, Sean, sorry. I was looking at Sean saying Kevin, so Sean, I'll start with you.
Sure. I'm going to stay off the world. I'm going to let smarter people handle that. But, you know, I will say, and folks are making fun of me a little bit in the video, like, I'm not from here. In some senses, I'm not from anywhere. We've moved around a lot, and I have a bit of a southern accent. I'm from New York. I like the New York sports teams. Like, nothing makes sense. But part of that has allowed me to, like, hear and see how other places view themselves and how they view, you know, us. And one of the things that's been so clear to me since coming back to Chicago is, one, this place is amazing, and we should never take it for granted, and we need to be intentional every single day about how to continue the greatness that is this city, but ensure that that greatness is for everyone. And I think that's some of the work that we're most proud of. But two, you got to tell people about your greatness. And like, I love the Midwest Nice. It's so great. Like, but like, when I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and if anyone's from here from Charlotte, I apologize, but like, they will tell you about the greatest 15 things in the first 3 minutes of the conversation, but not once get to the fact that it's like the absolute worst place to be born, poor and black in America, right? That came out later. But they're like, oh, did you know 47,000 people have moved here in the last year? We're home to these 5 companies. Like, cool. That's true. Chicago's like 7 times that. And I think sometimes because this city has been so great for so long, that we sometimes forget about what is happening right now. And we are the home of what I would say is the largest place-based investments in the country that are led by community, driven by community vision, and getting results. We're the place that is innovating in so many different ways how we connect people to services. And yet we worry about the things we're not doing. And I would challenge us to be bold and be strong about who we are and how much we care about this city, because it is a great place that most people actually would prefer to be here. And yet we're sometimes like, yeah, but we have this, this, and this. Sure, every city does. Every city I've ever lived in has the parts of that they're not proud of and they want to work on. We're the place that, of all the places I've lived in, that focus on that more than the incredible things we have. And that's the thing that I hope that we can get back to. When I came here for the first time, 20 years ago, folks were like, oh, this is the greatest place in the world in the summertime. Still true. This place has great sports. We'll talk about that. We'll work on it. But, I see you over there, Carlos, with your Bears. But we have them. And these are great things to be proud of. The cultural and architectural pieces of this city, the people, the vibrancy, the innovation. These are all things that we should be proud of. We have so many companies here. We have so many companies who want to be here, and we have so many corporate leaders who care about this place. Those are all huge assets that I, for one, in a job that relies on those things, am really proud that we are a place that cares about our city and wants to do things. And I hope we can almost remind ourselves that this is a great place where people want to be, and we should be really proud of that.
Thank you, Sean.
Sean and I spend a lot of time together talking about this exact thing, so I'm not going to repeat. You said it so well, Sean, so at the risk of being a little repetitive, look, I said earlier, 26 years with my firm, 23 years of that's been in the Chicago office. That Atlanta bias doesn't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. This is the great, if you look at just top to bottom, if we just put all of our assets on a page and showed it to somebody, they would be like, wow, that's amazing. And then you flip it over and go Chicago, and they go, God, that's not what I thought. Yeah. And it's like, we have so many great things going for us. And I'm not naive. When you get a question like this, I am not naive to challenges and issues, whether it be the city, the world. But I always choose, as a leader, to do the hard work. Joe said something, Joe Ferguson, while we were talking, that he said, hey, the cool thing about Chicago is the people doing the work, they know. And he is so right. And what I would challenge us all, like, everybody else should know too. And what gets me excited about the future of Chicago I mean, this is back to that list. Illinois EDC, World Business Chicago, you look at the work we're doing of recruiting economic growth and development here. Just look at it. You know, you're going to read a headline that says, oh, but there are so many more great things that are happening. You look at Quantum Park, you look at the 78, I could list all of the, I mean, these are real economic growth and development opportunities that are real. And it's because people in this room working together, teaming together. And I think the future's pretty bright. Now that might go to my energy giver thing and but I really do believe that. And it's why, you know, I moved my wife here from Atlanta in the winter. If anybody else did that, you know what that ride from the airport was like. And she's a professional mover. She said, what have we done? I said, well, we'll be out of here in 5 years. Here I am, and here she is. And you know, I hope that we can have some swagger around that, because I'm not naive to our challenges, but I'm going long on what I believe is going to be a new chapter. There's a big chapter getting ready to be written, I believe. Now, we've all got to roll and be certain it gets written correctly, but I'm bullish.
Very nice. Well, a quick lightning round, because I know our time is up. And I appreciate everyone for sticking around with us. But you all almost mentioned this, but just, you know, sort of one sentence, hope for Chicago. Hope for the future of Chicago.
Broad economic growth and development that shows up in our neighborhoods equally. That when we succeed, everybody in this city succeeds. And the last thing I'll say, Dory, if you'll afford me, and we have so many great, this room is a picture-perfect deal. One of the things that inspired me about Chicago in 2003 was the way the business community engaged civically and took that as a point of pride. That is not something that's just going to happen on its own. We got to water that, we got to feed it, we got to grow it in our new professionals and our younger folks. We talked about our unbelievable depth of young professionals at our office. They're giving their time and energy to over 60 different organizations, but if I don't and our teams don't, like, this great legacy that we have doesn't preserve itself. So we got to do something about that. We got to be certain that we're leaving it to that next gen and the next gen to do great things.
Thank you, Kevin. Sean, take us home.
And I'll build on what Kevin said, because I think we are writing the next chapter as we speak in our community right now. And I think it is the place in the future of that we collectively in this room can help drive that future economic mobility and opportunity for neighborhoods all across the region and be the model for countries and for communities all across this country. And I think it's something that we can't take for granted. We have to be intentional. But the history of Chicago is a place that was built around industries that grew neighborhoods, and then that went away for a long time across America. It has the possibility to come back today and to say, how do we, the business community, the civic community, the nonprofit community, neighborhoods, do that together and really drive outcomes for those all across our region. And I'm excited that this is the place where it has the opportunity to take place.
Wonderful. Well, I have to say, you know, Joe inspired me with one of the African proverbs that you mentioned, Joe. So the two of you, though, really inspired one that I actually heard the person from the Republic of the Congo say this. So this is an African proverb that actually was said by people from Africa. However, because people always throw out African proverbs, I'm like, you don't know that. But anyway, but they said, and it really speaks to what you all said, they said that which is done for us and not with us is done to us. And I think that the focus you all both have on ensuring that the community is at the table with everything that you do is so important. And then I'll take a spin on what Joe had said earlier, the proverb that we've all heard about, if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together. And I know I speak for Chicagoans when I say we need to go further faster. So let's keep it going. And I appreciate all the great work that you all are doing. So thank you all for what you've done.
Thank you, Dory.
And I thank all of you for being here this afternoon. And thank you again, Joe, for an outstanding event. And have a great rest of the afternoon. Thank you.